This is KGW News at noon.
But we begin with storm damage. This is new viewer video showing a Category EF0 tornado that touched down yesterday in northeast Portland. Today, neighbors are starting the big cleanup effort. All right, thanks for being with us at noon. I'm Chris Willis. KGW's Christine Pitawanich has been following this story all morning and brings us the very latest.
A lot of people are having to deal with the damage today here in northeast Portland. Right now, we're here at the corner of Northeast Going Street and Northeast 19th Avenue. And let me show you some of the damage that we're talking about. Here on this home, you can see a gutter has been ripped off, a screen right on top of the roof. And to the left, a huge tree right in the middle of the road. It's come down on top of cars and it's blocking the entire street, and debris really everywhere. Some of the damage has been cleaned up in this neighborhood, but still a lot of work left to do. If I walk across the street here, I noticed the chimney on that home has toppled over, and today we can see a number of crews here working on power lines, making sure everything is okay. This after yesterday, a number of people in this area lost power. Fortunately, we're hearing that most of that power has been restored. But like I said, cleanup underway today, and it could take days. Here in Northeast Portland, Christine Pitawanich, KGW News.
All right, Christine, thank you. And as Christine mentioned, the storm knocked out electricity to thousands of people in Portland. But the good news is Pacific Power says it has restored power to all of its customers. That severe weather impacted communities across the region. This is from Aurora, where a tree came down on a car, happened on Highway 99E just north of Line Elder Road. Firefighters say 2 people were inside the car and were taken to the hospital, but are expected to be okay. Turn the page now to Hillsboro. Lightning may have started a fire at this home off 37th Avenue near Bentley Street. Investigators are figuring out what caused it, but thunder and lightning were reported in the area just before the fire started. Most of the damage was in the attic. And so many of you are sharing your weather photos and videos with us. Rob took this video of the downpour of rain in Portland. Look at that coming down. And check this out. He braved the rain with only a pair of shorts and an umbrella. Stood outside for a few seconds before running away after hearing some thunder. Good idea. And finally, Larry caught this cool footage of a lightning strike in Hillsboro. You can still share photos and videos with us. We'd love to see them. Just use the hashtag KGWWeather. All right, now to meteorologist Rod Hill. Rod, pretty crazy storm that came through. What are we looking for this afternoon?
Well, this afternoon, the good news is because the cloud cover may stay solid, I've actually taken out the chance of even a rumble of thunder. And we'll get to that in a second, but this is worth taking another look at. Let's go back in time and look at the radar imagery yesterday afternoon leading up to the tornado in northeast Portland. This is 5:05, lightning strikes, heavy rain and hail out here around Hillsboro. And I'm going to step out of the picture here and take you in to the moment the tornado actually hit. So let's go ahead and move this forward. Here we are at 5:25. Now the tornado is starting to be reported. And where's it being reported at? I'm kind of jumping back and forth. But it's this little area right here, just north of Portland, 6 miles northeast of downtown. A little slight hook echo off of what was the main rain, hail, lightning area that went ahead and moved up into Vancouver. Pretty crazy stuff. We know from the National Weather Service that the winds were 80 miles per hour, classified as an EF0 tornado. We know it was on the ground roughly 6 minutes. The path kind of jumped, but it was up to a mile wide. Take a look at this. Rain was a big story. This is Kevin up in Vancouver. This is just outside of his house, Kevin Nordlum. And he's kayaking. You know, there were record dumps of rain with the storm system as well at the airport, 54/100ths of an inch. That's the most we've ever had at PDX on the first day of July. We do have some showers in our area right now. We'll take a look at your day planner, your radar, and your holiday weekend coming up.
Well, a lot to get to. All right, we'll see you in a bit. Thanks, Rod. A recent study in Washington shows most public schools in the state would not withstand a large earthquake. The Washington Geological Survey looked at over 220 buildings on 94 campuses across the state. According to the report, the average building would suffer major damage and would be unsafe following a big quake. The report also looked at retrofitting. It would cost between $63,000 and $5 million per building.
One of the interesting and great things I think that we found is that the cost to seismically upgrade the building is much less, 5 to 50% less than the cost to actually create or build a new building if the earthquake were to damage it.
A second phase of that study has been funded for 2019 through 2021. A 19-year-old in custody for attempted aggravated murder was indicted today. Police arrested Nashawn Edwards. He's accused of firing shots in the parking lot near Kohl's off Northeast Halsey back in May. Several parked cars were damaged. Portland police are looking for these 3 people accused of committing crimes during this protest on Saturday. That's when far left and far right-wing groups clashed downtown. Mayor Ted Wheeler is also facing criticism for what some are calling a slow response to that demonstration. The Portland Police Union says the mayor did not act fast enough as protesters threw milkshakes and eggs at officers. The protest is also getting national attention because protesters attacked conservative writer Andy Ngo. Nike is pulling a 4th of July shoe after backlash for its design. Take a look. The sneakers feature Betsy Ross's flag for the 13 American colonies. According to the Wall Street Journal, the move comes after former NFL quarterback Colin Kaepernick reportedly complained to the shoemaker. The report says Kaepernick told Nike he found the flag symbol offensive because of its connection to an era of slavery. We reached out to Nike for comment. We are waiting for a statement. A small but important bike path just opened up in Vancouver, runs along the Port of Vancouver property with lots of big trucks on the road.
It's nice to be off the road, and it just makes the riding a lot more enjoyable.
But as we're cruising by and there's semis, there's garbage trucks, it's a very unsafe situation. Having this path is huge.
Safety is so important. They cut the ribbon on the path at one of 2 bridges that cross the wetlands. The multi-use path is under a half-mile long, installed by the port. You can see it from Fly 8. It's the 4th of 9 sections that will eventually offer 4.5 miles of continuous path. It runs west to SR 501, that's Lower River Road. And cyclists today love it. They're saying safety is the biggest part of it, and it's part of a much bigger plan to eventually have a continuous path running from Washougal all the way to Frenchman's Bar along the Columbia River. All right, we have an update on the fight over President Trump's tax returns. House Democrats filed a lawsuit in federal court this morning. The suit is against the Treasury Department, the Treasury Secretary, the IRS, and the IRS Commissioner. The complaint alleges the Trump administration defied a subpoena to withhold the president's tax return information from congressional scrutiny. This is the latest lawsuit among several other court fights trying to obtain President Trump's financial records. Meantime, the border crossing and the border crisis appears to be escalating. Authorities are launching an investigation following new reports of deplorable conditions inside a migrant detention facility that's located down in Texas. More now from NBC's Tracy Potts.
Democrats visiting 2 migrant detention facilities in Texas describe deplorable conditions.
Women, tears coming down their faces as they talked about being separated from their children.
One of the women said that she was told by an agent to drink water out of the toilet.
A report by the Homeland Security Inspector General describes dangerously overcrowded conditions, migrants sleeping outside, 4 showers for 800 people.
We can do better as Americans. We will be judged as a country.
36 protests are planned at congressional offices around the country today to close the camps. Republicans blame loopholes in immigration law.
This is a man-made crisis. The responsibility for this crisis lies directly on the United States Congress.
President Trump just approved $4.6 billion in humanitarian aid. He's also promising to deport more immigrants after July 4th.
Hispanics love what I'm doing because, number one, they don't want to lose their job. They don't want to take a pay cut. And very importantly, most importantly, they don't want to have crime.
Meantime, the nonprofit ProPublica says it uncovered a secret Facebook page of border agents mocking immigrant deaths. In a statement, Border Patrol called the comments inappropriate and promised employees will be held accountable.
Turns out there are about 9,500 people in that Facebook group. Tracy Potts, NBC News, Washington.
All right, Tracy, thank you for that. And right now, protesters here in Oregon are rallying against these detention centers. There's a protest happening in Beaverton outside Representative Suzanne Bonamici's office, another one being held outside the federal building in Northeast Portland. Still to come, an emergency landing caught on camera in a California desert. What the pilot says saved his life. Plus, are you traveling this 4th of July? simple tips to protect you from cyber thieves. That's also coming up later. Well, you might hear more music on the streets of Portland this summer. We'll tell you about one woman's passion project to bring strangers together through music.